Hello and welcome back to Peaky Boardgamer. My name is Rakos and today I will teach you how you can play the game Fate Defenders of Grimheim. The game is designed by Jonathan Fryxelius and published by FryxGames. This is a tower defense cooperative game for up to 4 players, which can also be played as solo. In this video I will also be explaining the solo rules of the game, so don't go anywhere. In Fate, players become heroes, defenders of Grimheim, which is under attack by monsters trying to destroy Freyja's well. The intimidating Trollkin, the fire-spitting fire horde, and the terrifying dead. Players must roam the land to stop monsters from entering Grimheim. When a monster enters, one town piece is removed, and if the last one, Freyja's well, is destroyed, all players will lose. Each hero has dedicated sets of abilities, equipment and event cards. Players gain experience by killing monsters, and when they level up, they gain new abilities or improve the ones they already have. By fulfilling quests, they will find new equipment, and that will change the odds of combat to their favor. If heroes manage to hold Freyja's well intact until the round marker reaches the last space of the round track, all players will win in Fate. At first, place the board in the middle of the table and place the runestone marker in the top space of the round track. There are 2 tracks, one for a slightly shorter game. Then use a number of town pieces according to your player count, as I show you in the graphics. In our 3-player game example, we will need 8 pieces which we place within Grimheim area. For aesthetic reasons, always use Freyja's well piece, as this is what we actually need to protect from villains. Take all monster tokens and separate them based on their type and place them in their corresponding spaces of the board. There are 3 different classes of monsters: the Trollkin, the Fire Horde and the Dead. Each one of them has 3 monster types, 1st, 2nd and 3rd rank. Place all 6 legend tokens in this area or next to the board. Create a supply of gold, mana and damage markers next to the board. Also create a supply of combat dice and damage marker dice. Then place 3 gold crystals in the specified hex in Wyrmlair, 3 mana markers in this hex in Nailfair, and 3 damage markers in this hex in Troll Caves. Take all monster cards and separate them based on their back illustration, yellow and red, shuffle them and create 2 separate face-down stacks. Then reveal yellow cards equal to the number of players in the game and place the corresponding monsters in the designated region. Each player then takes a player board and selects one of the heroes, taking the figure as well as the hero's dedicated deck of cards. Place all selected figures in Grimheim. Then separate cards based on their type. Every hero has a hero card and these are double-sided. Place the card next to your player board on its starting side. These bluish cards are abilities. Every hero has 6 double-sided abilities. One side is level 1 and the other side level 2. One of these cards is the starting ability of the hero. You place this next to your board on its level 1 side. All other ability cards are shuffled and placed in this area, all on their level 1 side face up. Only the top card should be visible. Greenish cards are equipment cards. Find the hero's starting equipment and place it next to your board too. Remaining equipment are shuffled and placed here face up again, with only the top card visible. All remaining cards depicting your hero on the back are shuffled and placed in this area face down. These are event cards and every player starts the game with one of these cards in their hand. This area here is meant for discarded event cards. Take 3 of these markers and place one here and the other 2 here. Each player starts the game with 2 gold from the supply, which they keep in this area, and they also take 1 mana, which they place on their starting ability. Finally, players decide who will play first and the rest of the turn order is determined clockwise. The game is now ready to start. A short interruption here simply to remind you that if you haven't done already, please subscribe to our channel. It will help the channel grow and enable us to bring more videos of your favorite board games. The game is played in rounds. On every round, each player takes a turn starting with the first player and continuing clockwise. After all players have taken a turn, there is a monster turn, after which you move to the next round, and so on and so forth. On your turn, you get to play two main actions. Main actions are all depicted here on your player board. You select and perform the first action, mark it with one of these markers, and then you select your second actions and you mark it with a second marker as well. Important, you cannot choose the same action twice. So for example, you cannot take the attack action twice, but there are other ways for multiple attacks. There are also some free actions you may perform at any time during your turn, except during your main actions. There is no limit in how many free actions you can take. Let's start with the main actions. The first action is move. As the pictogram suggests, you can move up to 3 hexes. Rules of movement are the following. Heroes can never step in mountain hexes, only monsters can. Also, no character, heroes or monsters, may step in lake hexes except these 2 hexes in Nailfur. When you move, other characters block your movement. You cannot pass through them. Grimheim is regarded one big area that can accommodate any number of heroes at the same time. You can move into Grimheim, but you must end your move action immediately. During setup, we placed crystals in 3 hexes of the board. If a player enters these hexes, they may take these crystals. They can take 3 gold or 3 mana to place on cards that use mana. When you take the crystals from the troll caves, you return them to the supply and you can remove up to 3 damage crystals from your cards. With the prepare action, you draw 1 event card from your deck into your hand. Your hand limit is always 4 cards. You can exceed this limit, but you must then discard any cards from your hand to bring your hand within limit. As heroes get damaged, damage crystals will be placed on their hero card. With the mend action, player removes 2 damage crystals from their hero card. If the player performs this action while being in Grimheim, they remove up to 5 damage crystals, and on top of that you can remove damage crystals from your other cards as well, not just from your hero. Some abilities use mana, and this is indicated by this mana symbol in the bottom left of the card. With a focus action, you take 1 mana from the supply and place it on a card that uses mana. With a practice action, you take 1 gold from the supply and add it in this area. Gold is also experience points that help you gain levels. We will see this in a bit. Now let's see the attack action. When you attack, you must first target a monster within your range. You can always attack adjacent monsters, which is range 1, but some heroes have more than 1 range. For example, Bjorn's bow allows him to target monsters 2 hexes away. Mountains or other characters never block line of sight. In this case, however, that Grimheim stands between the hero and the monster, you would need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 range ability in order to target it. You count hexes around Grimheim. Finally, when you are within Grimheim, you cannot interact with anything outside the town, so you cannot target any monster even if they are adjacent to Grimheim. After the target is designated, you count all of such symbols on your active cards next to your board and roll that many combat dice. After you roll, you count the total hits you inflict. This here is the symbol of a hit. This symbol means this is a hit unless the defender stands in a forest hex. Rune results have no effect in battle by default, but some abilities might use them. I have inflicted 1 damage to the targeted monster. If the total damage inflicted is equal or greater than the monster's health, you gain a number of gold as indicated by this pictogram and you discard the monster. If it's not enough, use these little dice to mark the number of hits inflicted to this monster. Damage remains until the monster is killed. Let's talk about free actions now. Let's start with event cards. You could have up to 4 in your hand and you can play them freely, any number of them. So I could play Rest and heal 2 damage from my hero, and then Limber Bow to increase my range by +2 for my entire turn. My weapon has a range of 2 hexes, so for this turn my attack range will be 4 hexes. Event cards cannot be played during other main actions except if explicitly stated. For example, Master Shot adds 2 damage to the attack action, and you can play the card after you see your roll results. Pretty neat, huh? Also, as a free action you can use your abilities. I have this long shot ability that adds damage after my roll in each attack action equal to the distance. Now I can attack up to 4 hexes away, so if I attacked this monster, that would be plus 4 damage after my roll. Oh, and you always ignore cover, so even that the monster is in a forest, these results of my roll will inflict a hit. I also have this ability card. This card uses mana. You must spend 3 mana from this card to perform this effect. The effect is to deal 3 damage to any monster which is within my attack range, so I could inflict 3 damage to any of these monsters. Important, this is not regarded an attack, so my long shot ability would not apply here. If we see the effect of another hero's ability, this lets you perform an attack action like the main action. Very important, each ability can be used only once during your turn unless the effect is to prevent damage taken by your hero. So I cannot use my rapid strike again even though I have enough mana. Baldur's Dreadnought ability, on the other hand, can be used any number of times since it prevents damage. So, if for example Baldur is inflicted 3 damage, they could use up to 3 mana on this card to prevent it, and they may use it again for each attack against them. Equipment can also be used as a free action. For example, this quiver can be used after I roll dice of my attack action to add another damage. This symbol means that when you use this equipment, you must add 1 damage on the card. And this here is the limit of damage this card can hold. So, after you have 3 damage markers on the card, you cannot use it anymore unless damage is removed from the card by some means. Damage markers on equipment cards indicate uses and have nothing to do with damage inflicted. You cannot assign damage inflicted to you on equipment cards unless that's the effect of the equipment, like this equipment. Again, equipment cards can be used only once during your turn unless they prevent damage. So I could use this equipment again and again, but this one here only once. These attribute improvements in the bottom of cards in play always apply, of course. Equipment cards can be acquired by accomplishing missions. You can only acquire the card that is in top of your equipment deck by satisfying its objective on the top. Just pay attention to the underlined text. For example, to gain this card, I need to be in a forest and spend 1 practice action. The action in this case will be sacrificed. I will not gain the experience, but I will gain the equipment card instead. Some other cards might be more difficult to gain. This, for example, asks you to enter 7 areas adjacent to mountains. Every time you step in such a hex, you add a marker on the card to indicate its progress. After 7 markers are accumulated, you gain the card. Closing the parentheses and back to free actions, if heroes are in adjacent hexes, they may transfer gold between them. So these heroes can interact, but not with this hero in Grimheim. After you are finished with your 2 actions, you move to your end of turn steps. These have to be followed in this specific order. First, you reset your action markers. Then, if you have enough experience, you may level up. This marker indicates that in order to level up, you must have accumulated 5 gold. If you do so, you may spend them, and then you push this marker 1 level forward. Now you will need 6 gold for your next level up. After the marker reaches this spot, you always need 10 gold to gain a level. Now, when you level up, you choose one of the following 2 options. You either gain your next ability card, placing it next to your board with level 1 face up, or you flip one of your ability cards or your hero card to its upgraded side. If there is mana or damage crystals on the card you flip, these markers are transferred to the other side. The next step is to add mana to all cards that have mana regeneration as indicated by this symbol. So I will add 2 mana on this card. The next step is to draw one event card from your deck, and as a final step you may put the top ability or the top equipment card in the bottom of your deck so you get access to a new card you can gain. Remember, you can never pick beforehand, and if there is progress on the equipment card you put in the bottom, it will be lost. After all players complete their turns, monsters take their turn too. First you move the round marker to the next lower space. Then monsters move, then monsters in range attack heroes, and finally, if the round marker moved in a space with this symbol, you add more monsters. The step with a special die is optional. I will explain it at the end of the video. Let's analyze how monsters move. All monsters move for one hex towards Grimheim using the direction indicated by its column, unless the monster is on a road, so it will follow the road instead. So this monster moves here and this monster moves there. You first move monsters that are more near to Grimheim and then monsters further away until all monsters are moved. If two monsters would move to the same hex, then a monster on a road takes precedence. Important! All monsters adjacent to heroes do not move. So if a hero was here, this monster will not move, and thus this monster behind it will not move as well, as it cannot enter a hex with another character. If the round marker moved in a space with a skull, then all monsters charge, meaning they will add +1 in their movement. So this monster would move 1, 2, and this monster would move 1 and then stop, as it's now adjacent to a hero. Monsters will also charge if by doing so they will become able to attack a hero. So this monster would charge in its movement phase even if it's not a charge round. If a monster enters Grimheim due to movement, you remove one of the pieces. If a legend monster enters Grimheim, you remove 3 pieces. After entering Grimheim, monsters are returned to the supply. This brings us to our defeat condition. If the last Grimheim piece is removed, monsters prevail and all players lose immediately. Finally, legends do not like to be blocked behind other monsters. In this example, that all these monsters do not move, the legend will swap positions with the monster in front of it. After movement, monsters attack one adjacent hero. If there are multiple adjacent heroes, players choose which hero is attacked by this monster. For each monster attacking, you roll a number of dice indicated here, so in this case 4 dice, and you resolve combat as normal with the hero receiving damage. If a hero's health is dropped to 0, that hero is knocked out and respawned in Grimheim, and you must then remove 2 of the city's pieces, so try to stay alive. Then the player removes damage, leaving 5 damage markers on the hero card. After monsters attack, if the round marker moved to one of the spaces with this symbol, you will reveal monster cards equal to the number of players, one by one, and add monsters on the map. Yellow cards if the marker moved in one of those spaces, or the more dangerous red cards if it moved in these spaces. You place the monsters as indicated on the card, just like you did during setup. Important: if even one monster cannot be placed in the indicated spot because the hex is not vacant, or if the indicated type of monster is not available in the supply, then the card is discarded and you draw again. And you do this until 3 valid cards in our example have been revealed. Some cards, like this one here, introduce an incoming legend monster. Use the corresponding token and the correct side of it matching the stats shown on the card. The card shows a special ability for the monster, keep it near players. If the round marker has reached the last space, then at the end of the monster's turn, if there is at least one piece in Grimheim, heroes win the game. We will finish this video by meeting our opponents. Trollkin main power is that when they attack they roll +1 die for every other adjacent Trollkin monster. So in this case, this monster will roll 3 + 3, 6 dice, and this one will roll 1 + 1, 2 dice. Also, goblins, the rank 1 monster, move 2 hexes instead of 1. This means that they will move 3 hexes when they charge. So, in this example, this goblin will move 2 hexes and it will charge moving a 3rd hex, since by doing so, it will be able to attack me. Next we have the Fire Horde. Fire Horde monsters have an attack range 2. They can attack you from 2 hexes away. In this example, when this monster moves, it will move 1 and then it will charge moving another 1 hex, since by doing so it will be able to reach me by attacking. Finally, we have the Dead. When the Dead attack, rune results count as hits for them. Also, the rank 3 monster, Draegg, has armor, which prevents 1 damage from each attack. So, if I inflict 3 damage to a Draegg, only 2 will pass. If you want to add difficulty and unpredictability in the monster turn, you can add this die. You roll this die after you move the round marker and before monsters move. Depending on the result, an additional effect will apply. With this result, all monsters that will attack in the attack step will roll +1 die. With this result, all monsters will charge in the movement step. The rest of the results come in effect immediately after you roll the die. With this result, you get ambushed. Each player must add a goblin from the supply in an adjacent empty hex, except than players in Grimheim. With this result, each hero adjacent to a monster is pushed back once towards Grimheim following the monster path. Hero could also be pushed into Grimheim. Finally, with these results, monsters adjacent to heroes will rotate around the hero to the direction indicated on the die. In another example, if this was rolled, monsters would rotate like this, and this monster would enter Grimheim. And that's how you can play Fate by FryxGames. If you like our videos and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have fun and play more board games.